May 13th, 1978. Charlie and Sammy are born to Henry and his wife. Fredbear's family diner operates under Henry and William Afton. Charlie also has memories of this time involving a crow and being taught about the spring locks. Halloween night of 1982. Charlie remembers her mother dressed as a princess and being in a closet within Fredbear's with her twin Sammy before the yellow rabbit enters and snatches Sammy away. Shortly after this, Fredbear's would be closed and Henry would move his family from New Harmony to Hurricane. Around this time, the events leading to the possession of the puppet appear to occur in the timeline. Charlie recalls that on her first night in Hurricane, she cannot sleep, so Henry builds her Stanley and Ella. While Stanley is being built, the creepy endoskeleton is already present in the workshop. Henry's wife would leave for undisclosed reasons at some point. Also, the creepy endoskeleton would enter the house and be deactivated by Henry during a summer storm, which places this event at around 1983 in the earliest. 1983. Henry creates the Freddy's gang in the attic according to Charlie's memory. Fredbear and Friends TV show also launches in this year and bridges the gap between the original golden suits of Fredbear's and the classical figures of Freddy's. Charlie meets John while in kindergarten and he takes the blame for her when she smashes a jar, starting their friendship. The first Freddy's is presumably also opened in Hurricane at this time. 1985. John and Charlie nearly kiss. The incident occurs shortly after this and appears to take place over several months with multiple disappearances. While investigating, it was noted that Pirates Cove was a mess during the police reports, and the blood of one victim, Michael Brooks, was streaked on the floor. The crying child would presumably witness these deaths of his friends and be traumatized by what he saw, leading to him fearing the golden animatronic. The bodies of the victims are never found, and so Afton, despite being obvious as the killer, is able to go free and leave town. The puppet appears to put the bodies into the suits, and they become possessed. The suits would go on to rot and ooze later, leading to sanitation threats and the suits being retired from daytime usage, becoming the wizard animatronics. The golden spring suits would then be returned to service to replace them temporarily. Following the police questioning and his guilt according to the community, Henry would create an endoskeleton to end his own life. Aunt Jen, his sister, would take Charlie following this and leave town with her. 3 months after these events, Jessica would also leave Hurricane, her family moving to New York. In 1986, Lamar would also leave to live in New Jersey. 1987. John moves away from Hurricane at some point early in this year. The new Freddy's opens in the summer and launches the toy animatronics based on the toys of the characters from the TV series. The old site continues to function using the spring suits. The first night guard at the new Freddy's appears to have a criminal history as the suits harass him, and he moves to day shift. During the second week of the FNAF 2 site's opening, there is a massacre. Presumably this is caused by Afton once again, however he is not caught. Instead, the day guard appears to be implicated and imprisoned as a scapegoat instead. The company would continue to seek Afton after the arrest, however. Rumours would circulate that the company was hiding the bodies of the victims. They renovated the classic suits, so therefore logic would say that they found the bodies and therefore these rumours are actually correct. As a result of the investigation, the FNAF 2 site goes into lockdown. A birthday party is however still scheduled by the company to happen at another site. The birthday party occurs at the Freddy's original site, and the crying child is forced into the Fredbear suit, causing the bite of 87. This final nail in the coffin of the original Freddy's site would lead to it closing down, as well as a ban on future suits being allowed to walk in the day. The spring suits would also be retired, being considered too dangerous for use following this incident. The old Freddy's would be built over as someone with emotional attachment funds the preservation of the site. However, the dark aura that surrounds the building would leave the mall built around it abandoned and unfinished, as no one was willing to set up shop here. By November, the FNAF 2 site has reopened and uses Balloon Boy to entice new customers. Jeremy completes his week, followed by Fritz for only one night before the site appears to be closed down. The toy animatronics are subsequently scrapped, while the old suits are kept for future reopenings. Around 1990 to 1991, Aunt Jen would bring Charlie back to the house briefly, according to Charlie's scattered memories. Marla would also visit Charlie around this time. In 1993, Clay Burke attempts to run for mayor of Hurricane, and in 1994, Jessica breaks the heart of a boy named Donnie. 1995. 10 years after the incidents at Freddy's, Charlie and her friends return to Hurricane for a memorial service. While in the town, they visit Freddy's repeatedly over subsequent nights and discover Dave, who is William Afton, who the spirits in the suits eventually drag away after Charlie springlocks him when he attacks the group. Also, during the 1990s, the FNAF 1 site operates using the refurbished original characters. Now, the fandom clearly states that this happens in 1993, which appears to clash with the timing of the Silver Eyes novels. However, given in previous videos we have established already that the Fazbear Company has a tendency to not be very respectful or in any way nice to their staff, it is entirely possible that although the wages worked out by MatPat on Game Theory lead us to the year 1993, the ambiguity given by the game crossing out the last digit of the date may imply that the company is in fact short paying their staff, and so this wage bracket could happen at any point in the 90s, particularly up to the later parts of the 90s, as we will see with the Silver Eyes novels finishing around 2 years ahead of the first Silver Eyes book. At some point prior to FNAF 1, apparently, Afton would sneak into the site and attempt to destroy the suits. The spirits, however, exact their revenge on him and trap him within the Spring Bonnie suit, which is then sealed up in the safe room by the company to prevent any more bad press. This notably occurs before FNAF 1, as Phone Guy himself is alive and records the tapes related to this incident. In November, Mike would begin his week at Freddy's. He would later be fired for tampering with the suits, however. Following his time at Freddy's, he would have nightmares of the suits as monsters coming to get him in the same pattern as they did within the Freddy's establishment, but within his home. Freddy's would eventually close this site down, although we are unsure of to when this exactly happened. 30 years after the incidents at Freddy's, the incident in question not being specified, so therefore the date being kind of malleable, Fazbear's Frights launches to capitalise on the mysteries surrounding the franchise. After being tipped off by someone, the owners uncover Springtrap within the FNAF 1 site and plan to use him as an attraction before opening. However, the site would burn down the night before it was scheduled to premiere. Springtrap, however, is seen to have survived this fire. So, as we can see, this timeline is not exactly airtight, and a lot of the things do indeed seem to contradict each other or just kind of be floating there waiting for context to surround them. So this will obviously be rectified as we further go along the timeline of the games after they release. So, saying this much, the next installment in this lore exploration is going to be the controversial and often overlooked FNAF world.